Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Flash Life podcast brought to you by KentStateSports.com and GFTV. I'm your host, Tyler Henry. Let's start things off by looking back at some of the highlights from last week in our flashback segment. The third-seeded Kent State women's soccer team hosted 6th-seed Toledo in the opening round of the MAC tournament at Seller Field inside Dick Stadium. Goals were scored by Sienna Stambolic and Julia Giovinazzi to put the Flashes level before Carly Hellstrom buried a penalty to give KSU the lead, and Cameron Shedenhelm iced the game in the final minutes. The Flashes win 4-2 to advance to the semifinal round of the tournament, where they will face off with second-seeded Ohio on Thursday. All the games going forward will be played at Bowling Green. The field hockey team defeated Ball State 2-1 in their regular season finale to capture a share of the 2021 Mid-American Conference Championship title with Miami of Ohio. After a slow first half that saw the Flashes head into the break down a goal, Kent State found another gear and completely dominated in the second half. Fifth-year Clara Rodriguez-Seto would strike for the Flashes in the third quarter to tie the game 1-1 and would later go on to score the game winner late in the fourth quarter. Kent State held the Cardinals to just one total shot and one penalty corner all second half, while registering 24 shots, 22 of which were on goal, and 8 corners of their own. The Flashes' victory helped clinch the number 2 seed in the MAC tournament, which will be held on Friday, November 5th and Saturday, November 6th. Kent State will open bracket play with a rematch against the Longwood Lancers, who they defeated in a comeback earlier this year. Ahead of the MAC tournament, we sat down with fifth-year goalkeeper Azure Fernsler to talk about the team and their upcoming run. Here's a brief look at our conversation. Stay tuned for the full interview coming at you in 2 weeks. But here, so let me ask, you've got the pregame aux. You're trying to hype up the team.
Oh my gosh, you picked the wrong person.
What are you playing?
I'm terrible at the pregame aux. They usually don't ask me. They usually skip my songs, honestly. There's one song that if it's on like the playlist, like for a pregame warm-up, I always ask for it. There's two actually. Eminem, Lose Yourself. That's one of mine. Yeah, I'm
Vintage.
Old school. And then Andy Mineo, You Can't Stop Me. It's I don't know. I really love that song.
Sure. Earlier this month, we sat down with basketball players Mariah Modkins and Giovanni Santiago to discuss their journey to Kent State and their time in Northeast Ohio. From childhood icons and pregame music choices, it was a great chance to get to know both of Kent State's point guards. Let's jump right into our conversation with both of those players. Welcome back here on the Flash Life podcast. I'm Tyler Henry, joined now by Kent State point guard Mariah Modkins. And, you know, it's going to be a great upcoming season. There's a lot of hype around Kent State coming into 2021. But let's get into a little bit of your background first. Let me ask you this. When did you know you were in love with the game of basketball?
Probably when I was about 8 years old. That's probably when I started playing competitively for like a team out of Georgia called the Georgia Pistols. That was for AAU. So 8 years old.
Okay. So, you know, growing up, who were some of the players that you kind of idolized and looked up to as you started to kind of build your own basketball career?
Early on, it was older women like Lisa Leslie. I got to see her play when I was really young, and then when I moved to Phoenix is when I got to see Diana Taurasi, Cappie Pondexter, and I saw them win the championship there. I think that was in 08 or 14 or something. So that's when I like really just like I was mesmerized by them all. So Diana Taurasi, I would say.
So are you a Mercury fan?
I wanted them to win the finals.
Okay, gotcha.
I did.
No, I was at Arizona State for 4 years, so I feel that it was it's the classic Phoenix experience, right? They build up your expectation, but nonetheless a great week for the WNBA, for the media as well. So growing up, I know you kind of bounced around to a lot of different high schools, but you always seem to find success. So just take me through that journey that you had with all the different schools that you ended up playing for, and kind of what that was like for you as you went through your high school years in basketball.
Well, just moving around in general, I hated it then. I cried every move, and I hated it. But now looking back, I actually really like it, and I think that it put me in a better position now. Because when I leave Kent and get a real job, I'm not going to be fazed by having to adapt and change. But just meeting new people and learning new people and how to make friends, and I just like learning different cultures because every lingo is different at all the other states and all the other schools. So just meeting new people, honestly, is the best part for me.
Sure. Would you say you had a favorite place that you ended up living in during that stretch, or was it kind of just, everywhere felt a little bit different, but kind of the same too?
I love the warmer states. So Arizona was definitely in the top of the list.
So, what was that like? I know it may not have been direct, but you did live in Arizona where, again, it's never cold. The dead of winter, it's 45 degrees. It's a chilly day. Bring a jacket. To, Ohio, where up here in the Northeast, the middle of winter, it's a real kind of cold up here. What was that adjustment like for you when you got here?
My first winter was, I never ever experienced snow before like that. So actually, I moved from Arizona to Buffalo. That was my first move, and Buffalo was pretty drastic.
Yeah.
And all that snow was definitely something to get used to. So, yeah, that was an experience. But, you know, once I got used to it, all the sledding and skiing, that was the best part.
So, you know, again, we talk about the transition, but, you know, you get here to Kent State University. What was your initial impression of, you know, the school, the area? You know, when you first got here to Kent, what was kind of the first thing that you look around? What was your first impression?
That it was home, and Kent's really the community, and that they support each other, and that was the first thing that probably stood out to me that I actually loved, and it's true. So Kent for life. Seriously, that's a real thing.
Sure.
So yeah.
So in terms of the program itself, you know, Coach Starkey was getting his start here at Kent State when you came into this program. Well, what was your initial impression of, you know, the team, the program, kind of what you knew you were stepping into for 4 more years here?
I knew that Coach Starkey and the staff were trying to turn things around, and I knew that that was his first class. My class was his first class that he got to go out and take a minute and recruit and see what he wanted, and just coming into an atmosphere where I knew how competitive he was and that he wants to win and we want to win just as badly. So I think just coming into an atmosphere where, you know, I had an opportunity to do something and that we wanted to do something special, just kind of the hunger about it, just being hungry for it.
Sure. You know, what would you say are some of the biggest things you guys have kind of tried to build in terms of, you know, the kind of culture you want to bring to Kent State University now that you're in your 4th year?
I would say just being connected and having team chemistry on the court and off the court as well. I think some years we maybe had it better off the court, and this year we're really trying to focus on being together as one on the court. So.
Sure. So tell me about this year's team, this year's Golden Flashes. You know, who are some of the vocal leaders? Who are some of the players that, you know, maybe kind of keep things a little bit lighter when things aren't going as well? You know, what is kind of, or who are some of the big pieces this year from your perspective?
I would say leading wise, probably me and Lindsay Thal. Lindsay's played a lot of minutes, and I would say I'm more of the vocal leader for the team. But I think that, you know, everybody has their role, and everybody knows, you know, their role and whether to follow or to lead. And I think that some girls step up. Casey Santora, she's been really good over the summer, just entering in spots where we know that she needs her and she's willing to be a leader and a follower, or vice versa. So I think us three right now are going to be the backbone of the team.
Sure. So, you know, I'm sure there are always players that kind of come out of the woodwork that surprise people. You've had a chance to practice with some of these younger players, some of these freshmen and sophomores. You know, who are a few names that have kind of stuck out to you in practice that, you know, you think might be able to have a big impact on Kent State this year?
I would say definitely Casey. She improved drastically over the summer. And then Bridget Dunn, freshman Bridget Dunn, I think she's going to be really good for us. She comes in with a lot of energy, and she's just smart. She's really smart to be a freshman. I wish I was that smart as a freshman.
Don't we all?
Literally.
You talk about the competitive nature of this team. You know, would you say this is kind of more of a serious, you know, down to business team, or, you know, when things are going well, is this a little bit of a looser, you know, let's relax and enjoy the moment kind of a team?
I think we have a little bit of both to us. I think we have a lot of personalities on the team that maybe bring both, but, you know, whatever we need in the situation, I think we're able to adapt, and I think that's one thing that's going to be better about this team this year is just adapting on the fly and knowing what we need.
Sure. You know, we were talking about this. It's almost insane how quickly the season's coming up. You mentioned there's already a scrimmage this week, and it feels like we're only in the beginning of football season.
Right.
You know, when you talk with these players, when you're in that locker room with Coach Starkey, you know, what are some of the expectations that you guys have kind of put upon yourselves for what you want to set out to accomplish this year?
You know, we know what the end goal is, and we know what we want, and that's a championship at the end of the year. But, you know, just I'd say daily tasks and what we need to do every day at practice. You know, we can't just think about the end of the season already. We didn't even start yet. So just mastering things that we need to do. We really want to focus on getting the ball out in transition this year. We want to focus on turning teams over more this year. It was something that we lacked last year. So just working every day to fulfill what we need to fulfill for that day. And then tomorrow we'll focus on tomorrow, and so on and so forth.
Sure.
So.
Let me ask you this as well. You know, talking about the team and what's coming up this season, one thing we do know, there will be fans back in the stands. It's going to feel like a little bit more of a normal year. First of all, what was it like a season ago? Because, again, you know, fall sports had almost gotten underway, but you guys were the first full season where it really kind of set in that things were not normal. So what was that like for you, and how excited are you guys to get back to normality this year?
last year was absolutely crazy seeing billboards as our fans, but I think this year I'm definitely so excited to see fans, family, friends, anyone and everyone. I'm so excited for it. I don't even know how to do. I'm so excited. I know the girls are really excited too. Like, we haven't had this in over a year, and it's going to be awesome.
Sure. Well, one thing we like to try to do on this podcast is kind of get to know the person behind the athlete. Obviously, our student athletes, you guys work so hard in the classroom and on the floor, on the court, but at the same time, there's personalities, like you said, in that locker room that really do kind of make teams tick. So, let me ask you this. Your dad, obviously a veteran coach in the NFL, currently with the Denver Broncos. He's bounced around to a couple different teams. Do you have a favorite team in the NFL? Is it based on the coaching, or are you, a diehard local fan? What's your take there?
No, whatever team puts a roof over my head and feeds me. So the Broncos right now.
All right, fair enough. We talked about this a little bit before as well. You mentioned the Mercury were the team you were hoping pulled that off. Do you have a favorite, NBA and or WNBA team that you support?
I would say I definitely pull for the Mercury more than any other team. NBA wise, I don't really have a team. I just kind of watch players, I guess I would say.
Sure. Who are your favorite players overall to watch right now at both levels?
Love Steph Curry. Love Chris Paul. I think they make really good decisions. And Chris Paul, I think he played a really good playoffs last year. Yeah. And I think that really helped Phoenix.
No, it definitely did. So let's say this before a game for you guys for Kent State. Right. You've got the pregame aux. It's on you to try to fire up the team. What's playing over the speakers?
Ooh. I usually always get the aux, but before the game, I don't know, maybe some Future or something. I don't know. Get whatever the vibe is. They get a little crazy to anything, so. Sure. Probably Future, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. We asked Isaac Vance this a week ago. This is obviously a hotly debated topic, so choose your answer wisely here.
Okay.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
Okay. That's correct. So I'm glad you came with that
really
quickly. Yes,
okay.
That is correct.
No.
So there is a lot of debate, but for whatever reason, who is the toughest player that you have ever had to guard as a guard at Kent State, or do you have
that
one?
I played against?
Yes.
Or they could be on my team.
Either one.
I'd probably say Asia Dingle.
Okay.
So, our other point guard, my freshman and sophomore year, yeah, she's really quick first step. She's a good finisher. She's really quick with the ball. So I would say Asia.
Back here on the Flash Life podcast, Tyler Henry joined by Kent State point guard Mariah Modkins, and you talked about it. There is almost a little bit of a chip on the shoulder, a little bit of that extra motivation being the underdog. To take me through, where that kind of started for you, and how fun it's been to overcome some players that maybe think that they could guard you.
Right. I would say it honestly started probably since I was born. I've always been tiny and smaller than everyone and not as strong as everyone. So I just think that people telling me no and constantly hearing you can't do it, no, you're not good enough, blah, blah, blah. I just think that I just had this drive deep in me, and it was super fiery, and I just wanted to prove them wrong and just have the last laugh that I can do it, and I know I can.
And finally, we'll wrap up with this. When you look back on your time at Kent State and on, what you want to have your legacy be here at KSU. Obviously, we talked about it. You have one more year potentially of eligibility left. But what is the legacy you want to leave behind here on Kent State athletics?
That being the underdog, you can overcome anything. So, a lot of people didn't think I was supposed to be here, and I am. And I feel like I'm thriving. So, just the underdog and just the underdog mentality, being gritty and coming in every day and proving everyone wrong. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And you can catch Kent State University back on the basketball floor, both the men's and women's teams getting started here in about a month. But for Mariah Modkins, for Tyler Henry, that'll about wrap it up for this. We'll be back with more on the podcast right after this. Hello, everybody, and welcome back in here on the Flash Life podcast. I'm Tyler Henry, joined by Kent State point guard Giovanni Santiago. And Gio, it's good to have you with us here today. A lot of good stuff going on in the world of Kent State athletics as fall starts to wind down, and you guys will be coming up here in just a moment. Both basketball teams getting started this winter. But let me start you off with this. What was it that brought you here to Kent State? Why Kent overall?
I think just the opportunity to play. The coach Cindy has brought the last couple of years. It's a winning college team, and I just wanted to be part of a culture, winning culture, and have the opportunity to play right away. I was able to start last year as a sophomore, and I had the most minutes on the team, so I was just very grateful for that, and that's what I was looking for.
Sure. So, let's talk a little bit about your journey to get to this point. I know you started in Puerto Rico, you moved over here to Cincinnati midway through high school, and let me just ask you that, when you get here to Northeast Ohio, what was kind of your initial impression? I'm sure a lot different from home.
It was a cultural shock, how different things were, and having to speak English every single day now, becoming my first language as an everyday. Just stuff like that. School was different. Back home, I was on a private high school, and then when I moved to Cincinnati, I moved back to a public high school, and just basketball was different. Classes. I moved here with my oldest brother, so I left my other two brothers and my parents. So it was hard, but at the same time, it was a sacrifice needed in order for me to come here.
Sure. Let me ask you this. What would you say is the biggest thing that you miss about home, and what would you say is your favorite thing about Ohio here that you've kind of come to love here these last few years?
I think from back home, the thing I miss the most is definitely my family, my friends, and then I have to mention food and weather. Definitely the weather, especially now that it's getting cold. But from Ohio, definitely the love from the people. People really are welcoming here with open arms since day one, and that's something that I'm really grateful. So definitely the love from the people.
Sure. Well, a lot of love from the people, but what we also know is there's a lot of love for the game from a lot of our athletes here at Kent State. So let me just ask you, when did you first fall in love with the game of basketball?
At a very early age, started playing organized basketball probably since I was 4, 5, and like I mentioned, I got 3 older brothers, and they were all hoopers too. So I grew up in a basketball family, so it was really easy for me to fall in love with the game.
Sure. What are some of the biggest differences that you noticed, from the kind of the style and also just the culture around basketball in Puerto Rico compared to, the high school scene here and then the jump up to the NCAA level?
I just think it's a bigger scale. It's a lot more competition. You see a lot more players. Because back home is a small island of about 3 million people. When you playing basketball for so many years back home, you kind of seeing the same guys over and over again. Here's such a big scale, such a big difference that you see a lot of competition, a lot of different faces, and I just think it prepares you better because you see different systems, different defenses and stuff. So I think that would be the biggest difference between here and back home.
Sure. You talk about, the appeal of the winning culture here at Kent State. I know a lot of that has to do with Coach Senderoff and what he's been able to build here. So let me ask you, when you first get here to Kent State, what was your initial impression of Coach Senderoff and those first couple days in practice? What was kind of your feeling from what he was putting out?
I just love the way he he kept his word. He's always being honest with the guys and being fair with the players. The first thing he told me on my visit was I'm gonna give you the opportunity to play. You just gotta earn it. And that first year, I was a backup point guard for Antonio Williams, Bowman, and I had a couple games that I started that I earned to start, and there was a couple of games that I didn't play. But he always keep it honest with me and fair, and I just think that's the thing that I love the most, just the trust that we got in each other as a point guard, as a coach, which is really important for a team.
Sure, absolutely. You've been here for a couple of years now. What would you say, if somebody asked you what defines the culture here at Kent State in terms of the basketball, maybe a recruit that's looking to come here, what would you say, defines the overall culture here at KSU?
Just the family environment and the mentality that we always trying to win, no matter what. No matter if it's a new team or a veteran team, we always gonna find a way to be a contender and try to win every single day, every single year. So, just that family environment and that winning mentality.
Sure. Well, let's talk a little bit about your game specifically here. I know that, you have definitely taken some strides here at Kent State. I know you upped your three-point percentage from about 37% to 45% a season ago. What would you say has been kind of the biggest development? Has it been your three-point game, or have there been other things that you feel have really come a long way from your freshman year to now?
Yeah, you can definitely say my shooting, but I think it was more like just mentally being more comfortable, having that 1 year experience, and like I mentioned, having the trust of your coach. Like last year it was great for me because I was playing so comfortable, and I knew like Coach Cindy would let me play through mistakes, and because he trusts me on to make plays and run the team. So I just feel really good about it, and I think I was really comfortable and really confident about my game and about my shooting ability.
Sure. What would you say are some of the biggest improvements that you're looking to make, from these first couple of years to, as you get down the backstretch of your time at Kent State these next couple of seasons?
The biggest thing for me is always improving in all areas, especially on the defensive end, and as a leader, try to be more vocal as I can be. On both sides of the floor, and then definitely keep improving my body, keep getting some weight, keep getting stronger, and then try to get more to the free throw line because I shot it really well last year. I just didn't have that many shots, and I think if I can get to the free throw line more, that will help us. That will help me individually and help more of the team get some more wins and hopefully a MAC championship.
Sure. So let's talk about the composition of the team here. We'll get into some of the more vocal leaders here in a minute, but I did want to ask you, there is a new piece to this team this season. In addition to the freshman class, this Kent State team brings in Sincere Carey from Duquesne. What does a guy like that add to a team like this, and what would you say the chemistry between you two has been like as you've practiced here before the season starts?
I think he's gonna be big for us because this is gonna be he's an experienced player. He knows what he's doing. He's been a starter for 2 years, I want to say, at Duquesne. He's been, to be honest with you, he's been our best player on practice, and I think our chemistry has been good. We just need to get, more comfortable with each other as far as like who's gonna handle the ball on display, and like, somebody gets a rebound. If I get it, like he runs. If he gets it, I'll run. Just little things like that, but I think he's gonna be great for us, and I'm sure like we're gonna figure it out. We both, we're just trying to make the right play, and I think that's gonna be the biggest thing for us. Just trying to make the right plays for ourselves and for the team.
Sure. Well, let's talk 2021. I know one of the biggest differences, obviously, COVID still plays a role, but not nearly as intense as what it did a season ago when everything got shut down and canceled. Let me ask, first of all, how excited are you to have fans back in the MAC Center and be able to kind of pack that place out on these Tuesday and Saturday nights?
Very excited. Definitely. I think we were like the only MAC team that we didn't have fans for last season, and I think the town is very excited too. I can see it with the football team, soccer team. Like I've been going to those games, and I've been seeing the love from the people and how much they've been missing coming to the games. So I'm just very excited, and hopefully I'll see them at the basketball games too.
Sure. You guys finished last season 15-8. Still a good winning season overall, but let me ask you, when you guys get to the end of that season, was the sense from you guys, was there almost a sense that you guys wish you could have done a little bit more? Or was it, kind of a good way to end a season that was wrought with some crazy stuff with COVID? And what was kind of your guys' sense in the locker room after that last game?
Obviously disappointing. I don't think any of us wanted like to end the season there, and especially the way we did it. We didn't have a very good game at the tournament, but it's just a game that you have to learn from, and not completely forget about it, because you gotta learn from it, but just keep it like the back of your head and just keep moving forward, learn from it, and try to be better this year.
Sure. What has the energy been like from you guys in practice as you start to approach the 2021 season? And what is kind of the expectation that this team has put on itself for what you guys want to set out to accomplish this year?
The energy's been good. Everybody is excited. It's a new year, a new season. That we got a lot of faces, but I feel like our chemistry is been really good so far with all these new guys and stuff. We've been trying to keep building our culture, our family environment, and I think we just want to win, man. Like regular season and the tournament. I know I can speak for myself and from the guys. Like we all just want to make it to the tournament. So in order to do that, like we got to take care of business, keep getting better each day, and hopefully pick at the right moment, which is the MAC tournament.
Sure. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the composition of this team. We've already talked about you. We've already talked about, one of the big transfers coming in Sincere Carey. But as far as some of the upperclassmen, who are some of the more vocal leaders on this team that, really do kind of keep everybody even keeled through the good times and the bad?
I want to say, besides myself and Sincere, like you mentioned, we can talk about Justin Hamilton, which is our starting center coming back, Tabell back, Nunu, and then our new transfer, Andrew Garcia from Georgia. He has been great as a leadership standpoint. So we have some guys who are like good leaders, and we're gonna make this thing happen, work things out to keep getting our chemistry together and learning each other's game, and when adversity comes, hopefully stay together and go through it in order to accomplish our goals.
Sure. Every team obviously needs those leaders that can step up in the big moments. But let me ask you this. Is there a kind of an ultimate laid-back personality on this team, someone that's always loose, maybe a little bit of a goofball in that locker room, or is it pretty much all business with you guys from start to finish?
Nah, man, it's always a goofball on every team, I'm sure. Like, you need those type of guys. I don't think you can always be all about business and all serious. Sometimes you need that laugh and stuff. And yeah, definitely we got some clowns on the team, like Malik Jacobs, Nunu. Like we definitely got some clowns, man.
Sure. We already talked a little bit about Sincere Carey. I know I've mentioned him a couple times here, but go ahead and just take me through a few more of these. You mentioned a couple other big transfers coming in this season, and maybe even some of the freshmen, some pieces that weren't on this team last year that you guys are expecting to step up and have a big impact this year.
So you mentioned Sin from the new guys. I expect big things from Andrew Garcia once he's healthy. DJ Johnson from Rhode Island. I think we had a pretty deep roster. I think a guy from last year who I'm expecting big things is Jeremiah Hernandez, who was a redshirt freshman last year. A freshman from last year also I'm expecting a lot will be Von Cameron Davis. And then for this year's freshmen, I think they're young and hungry. They ready to prove that they can play at this level. And I want to say to keep watching Jalen Solinger. I think he's going to be a good kid and a good player for us.
All right. So, we talked a lot about, the team, the impact that you've had on the floor. We also like to try to get to know our student athletes a little bit, off the floor, what these guys do off the field and off the court. So I got a couple of questions for you here. We're going to go lightning round really quickly, but I'm just going to fire them at you. So you've got the Aux pregame. What is your go-to to fire this team up?
Well, they know better not to give me the Aux because I would put my music from back home normally for pregame. So I normally just let them take care of that. Like, I don't really care what we're listening before the music. I get on my own zone. So yeah, they definitely don't give me the Aux because
sure.
I know they know I would put some Bad Bunny music and like just music from back home.
Sure. Who is your favorite NBA player to watch?
My favorite NBA player to watch right now, it got to be Stephen Curry, to be honest with you. My favorite player is LeBron, but LeBron is in season 19. He's not as flashy or explosive as he used to be. And I just don't think you can go wrong with Stephen Curry right now.
No, you certainly can't. Really quickly, this is probably the most important question we'll ever ask you on the podcast. I want you to think very carefully about your answer.
All right.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
A hot dog sandwich? No, it's not.
All right. Really quickly, if you did play football, I know you're a big football guy. What position would you play?
Got to be quarterback.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. And then last thing for you.
Even though I can't pass, though.
No,
I can't pass the football.
You're good. And then last thing for you here. Obviously you're only halfway through your time here at Kent State, but let me ask. When all is said and done, when you're done on the court here at KSU, what's next for Giovanni Santiago?
Hopefully keep playing the game that I love, play at a professional level. And as of right now, I'm not really thinking about that, just thinking about today and this year and trying to get better each day, like I said. And, hopefully keep playing the game that I love.
All right, sounds good. Well, Gio, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. We will step away. When we come back, we got more good stuff coming up on the podcast here.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yep, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Now let's look ahead to see what's coming up for the Flashes in our Flash Forward segment. The 4-4 Flashes sit atop the MAC East Division with a 3-1 record in conference play as they begin midweek action. First up is a home contest against the Western Division leading Northern Illinois Huskies on Wednesday, November 3rd. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m. and will be on air on ESPN2 and the Kent State Radio Network. The men's and women's basketball teams will showcase their skills at the Blue and Gold exhibition this Friday night. The teams will participate in a scrimmage and 3-point and dunk contest. Doors open at 5 and the festivities begin at 5:30 inside the MAC. Best of luck to the field hockey and soccer teams at their respective MAC championships this weekend, and a special thanks to Mariah Modkins and Giovanni Santiago for sitting down with us this week. Flash Life is produced by GFTV for KentStateSports.com. You can find headlines, results, schedules, video, and radio of all Kent State athletics at KentStateSports.com. The podcast is produced by Nick Kane, Ivan Korsakoff, and Lexi Majoris. I'm your host, Tyler Henry. Thanks for listening, and go Flashes.